always kind of test distance. This is the kind of day that we can expect coming in, especially for match number 1.
So we have Team Saudi Arabia, very familiar faces here. We have El Rashidi, we have Karaba, we have El Khoraini, and we have El Sulaimani, and also El Karni as well.
Yep, players that are from Team Falcons after all, so maybe there will be some developments. In the meantime, for the side of Team Oman, we do have El Rakadi, we got El Karusi, El Ghassani, El Breki, and El Alawi that comes into the team.
We talked about maybe Fredrin into that. What's that called again?
No, unless I can read your mind at this point in time.
Yeah, the lady that heals. Not Angela, not Angela.
I can literally just give you everyone. Estes.
No.
No, it's a lady, Rafaela?
No.
God damn. At this point in time,
Sanrio.
Has a
Angela? Has a Sanrio collab.
Florin?
Yeah, Florin. There we go. Okay, now we got that mental block out of the way.
There
we are
go.
heading into the banning and drafting phase. We do have the Tu Sin, the Cho,
I
and
get the creative block
being,
at the time as well.
being banned out. Marcel, of course, now one of the strongest 100% ban pick heroes.
We should expect
got
that.
even stronger this patch.
Oh, okay. So at least for now, we do have got a pretty solid start coming in from Team Oman. I do love the Baxia first pick. However, looking at but it's still going to be completely fine in my honest opinion. But Yves, Glue, and Guinevere does seem like a very crazy start. Pretty good for Team Saudi Arabia for now.
Yeah, Team Oman just taking a playbook out of the sustain meta, trying to just extend the team fight as much as possible, playing with that Faramis into that box here. And now with that Guinevere pick, looking extremely good coming out from the side of Team Saudi Arabia as well. They have extremely good catch. They also have an extremely good front line as well. Now they do take out the Khalid. Now with the possible bans that will come through, the gold laner has yet to be picked from the side of Saudi Arabia. Claude is still in the pool, still extremely strong and impressive. Whether or not they choose to ban it out right now.
That is the question if it's going to leave the banning pool, which is the main question here. Now, let's identify a little bit what we can expect from each of these two teams and if whether they're sending us any form of signals. At least for Team Saudi Arabia, they are a very containment-based composition for now. We've got Glue and Guinevere both as a very strong harasser, Glue being the main annoyance, but with a simple form of crowd control or area denial coming in from Yves. This generally just means that Team Saudi Arabia, they generally want to play around the river lines as much as possible, and they do want to be a little bit more on the aggressors. While in the meantime, for Team Oman, they want to be fast by the pick of the Baxia along with the side of the Faramis. However, we don't really quite have a very clear idea if whether they are actually going to play a Faramis roam, or because there is always a possibility of seeing a Faramis mid, which is quite unlikely, but we should never throw that out of the window.
Yeah, so this ban from Saudi Arabia leaves the Kalea in the pool, right? The Kalea is extremely strong at dealing again with that Glue, having the ability to just isolate as well as the Guinevere and the Yves as well. Now, with the side of Team Oman still lacking that gold laner ban, Team Saudi Arabia, they have yet to pick up the gold laner. I'm not too sure whether they should let Claude out into the pool, especially against a Faramis and also Baxia. Yes, you do have that sustain available, but once that ultimate is down, that might be a great timing. And they actually ban out the Arnold instead.
I don't think that they are particularly too concerned about Claude, because as of now, it doesn't necessarily mean too much if Oman wants to aggress and be the fast one. As of now, it looks like they are more divey than Saudi Arabia, because as long as Baxia is able to rush in, literally everyone will be able to, give very good support to the Baxia. The question is, who is going to be the XP laner that comes in fair play together with the Baxia? Anyone that have got great mobility, as well as anyone who have great, I suppose, presence around the map will generally be good. Someone like the likes of Yu Zhong, for example, since Lapu is gone, it's not that fast, so it's not that important for them.
Yeah, so it will be confirmed to be a Glue roam coming in from the side of Team Saudi Arabia. So Terizla will be going on the EXP lane. Now, yet to fill in the jungle, no, not the EXP lane role for the side of Team Oman, as you said before. Going up against the Terizla, yeah, you still have that CC pick available if, let's say, you just want to win the lane alone. But in terms of team fight as well, yeah, like what you said, the Yu Zhong would be a great pick here, but Do you want to pick up the Ruby here? Do you want to go for that buffed Ruby? Because it has left the pool completely as well. So that will be an available pick for them. And if, let's say, Faramis is also going into that roam role, yes, you have the option of going for the Loi as well, or the Zetian, but they do go for the Atlas here.
Okay, I do favor the Atlas, to be honest. It's really cheaty based on the passive at this point in time. As such, it's also still within the dive meta that we are looking out for, or rather the dive-centric identity that we want to see out of Oman. They also picked up the Yuzhong, so we do have very strong map presence that is able to allow them to play around with lanes and do quite a bit of macro management. As such, Team Saudi Arabia will decide to echo that. They do have some dive elements in it. They, however, don't have a lot of map presence or global map presence. As such, split pushing is going to be super important. As such, picking up a Moskov and relying a lot on the SOD is going to be their way of playing around it.
Atlas completely leaving the pool there, and that was just ignored all the way to the last pick. I can't believe Fatal Links, you let the Fatal Links come through. And for the side of Team Saudi Arabia,
no respect to the Atlas.
A lot of solo plays, but at the same time, there's not much synergy. Only the real-world manipulation into that penalty zone.
Honestly, there is a lot more of the counter-engage that we want to see from the side of Saudi Arabia, right? As much as possible, they want to also kind of see where Oman is going to be targeting, how they are going to be looking at things, because the main point here is that they want the glue to be the main person, the main tank, the main vanguard. Well, in the meantime, allowing the Terizla, because Terizla does have the range and mobility to reach over to the back line, such as the Irithel as well as the Faramis. They want to be slightly away from the dive-centric team from the side of Oman.
Yeah, this is why the Faram is still not very favored in that early stage of the game, right? Not having that clear speed available, already brought down Chung down to extremely low. Karaba will be expanding a flicker here for Al Fadi's Purify. And for that mid lane, I would say currently still looking good for the side of Team Saudi Arabia in just terms of clear speed alone. And Glue is just going to have a better level 1-to-3 ratio of just trying to zone the Atlas out.
What else are we going to be looking out for? Like in the terms of XP lane as well as gold lane, I believe that the lane priorities is going to be super important here.
Yeah, lane priority, not as much, I would say. I would say jungle priority would be much more prioritized here, right?
Okay.
Now that you see El Breaky even finding that level 3 way ahead of El Sulaimani. El Sulaimani has to catch up in terms of the clear speed. Will not have the glue to be available to help him for that level 1-to-3, because the Faramis and the Atlas, you expect him to keep him there as much as possible. Now, that first objective take is going to be very important for both teams because they're running utility jungles as well.
We do have El Alawi that managed to hit level 4 at this point in time. Well, Al Khani is not quite there, so allowing the Yuzhong to actually leave lane a lot earlier than Terizla is going to help a lot. They do have information at the very least that Team Oman, they have 4 members that's going to be cooped up down to the bottom lane. So they're going to be starting things out real quickly as the RWM is just going to be popping right out while Al Sulaimani picks up the kill onto the turtle. The dragon doesn't really seem to do too well when in the meantime penalty zone lands on the 3. Jumping right on top of Al Alawi brings him down right after the Violet Requiem. As now Team Saudi Arabia, they are putting up a really good fight as they manage to find another kill down onto Al Fadi. And at this point in time, it's really difficult because we're looking at a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, this is the segmented team fight that Saudi Arabia have been looking for. Spirit Destruction does land, but not going to be able to jump in here. El Rashidi does see the chance, but not going to jump into Avaxia, into that enemy jungle. But this is the level spike that we need to see out of the Atlas. He was not level 4. Does use the flicker, but did not have that Fatal Links available, right? So in terms of that 5v5, Team Oman are very ultimate reliant in terms of you need to have that Black Dragon form. You need to have Fatal Links to make the team fight work. Meanwhile, for Saudi Arabia, with the Guinevere, what it gives them is the chance to just choose and pick whichever fight that they wish to, and on whatever battlefield. So it really favors them in terms of just taking these skirmish fights when there's not much going on in the map.
So at this point in time, the main thing that we kind of want to look out for is going to be a matchup between the roamers. How exactly are they wanting to start a team fight, for example? We do have Team Saudi Arabia that actually committed quite a bit over to that pickoff, which unfortunately did not do too well. But fortunately, it's just the resource used is only ultimates, not much of flickers.
Yeah, but still, macro advantage going the way of Saudi Arabia. They've been doing a great job of keeping the map pressure up so far. 2,000 gold advantage currently at 4 minutes into the game. And right now, we do have a bit of skirmish going on, but nothing much is going to result from a Terizla and also a Yuzhong going up against each other. But wait a minute.
That's not great coming in from a Yuzhong right there. But regardless, that is going to be Alkani is close to level 8, and losing up the Yuzhong right before the turtle is going to be detrimental to the macro management for the team of for the side of Team Oman. As such, Team Oman, they still kind of stuck around a little bit. As such, that is going to be a grand punish for them. They should already know that they are unable to win in that fight. So right now, Team Saudi Arabia, they will make full use of the very fact that the team from Team Oman is so close. They jump in, takes 2 men down, even dove down onto the top lane turret, now putting a lot of damage over to El Breaki and bringing down the jungle. In fact, for El Fadi, he still went in, and they are literally going 1 for 1 for 1, literally as solo heroes for their own team.
Not looking good for the side of Team Oman. That was still 5 minutes into the game. That was a Petrify available on El Alawi, and he has not found a chance to use it in that first 5 minutes of the game. We saw that 1v1 skirmish versus Al-Karni. That might have been his ego just talking to him. And now looking at the team fight as well, right? Just does not favor their positioning at all. They were caught behind the turret, and they could have easily just taken that dive. And for Team Saudi Arabia, with the farm that they have, they're going to take all the dives that they can from now on.
It's really tough for Team Oman right now, especially since they are a dive comp. As much as possible, they want to jump over the back lines. However, they are just losing in quite a lot of aspects right now. They lost the top lane and the bottom lane T1 turret, which will eventually lead up to the T1 turret in the middle lane. They are just going to be pushing up all of their resources right here, but the question is, do they have got an advantage enough to block this out?
Yeah, losing that mid-tier turret at that 6 minute mark is not going to be good news at all for Team Oman. They are falling behind. They can't give the space here as it is pop. But now, right now, that real-world manipulation coming through for the side of Team Saudi Arabia, still dominating the battlefield. 3 members already down for the side of Team Oman, and Saudi Arabia continue on that territory. They lose a member, but it does not matter. That Black Dragon form, no use at all.
Yep, a little bit too late for the Black Dragon form, unfortunately. It would be great in the start of things, just so that you will be able to put up some of these shard residue stacks onto everyone, and that will ultimately create a bit of panic. But that doesn't seem too right. Unfortunately, now we go with another Violet Requiem.
Yeah, the jump in coming through from the side of Guinevere. That is just the scary power of the Guinevere, right? It leaks the pool at that early draft. We totally forgot about how oppressive this character is when it comes down to getting these jumps. Now, combined with the stick ability coming out from Karava, that's just going to be a free engage every single time. They're willing to give Karava's life into starting these team fights as long as they can get a favorable position.
Indeed. I mean, for the side of Clue, he is the vanguard after all. So as much as possible, if he's able to get a single connect onto the stick, then it's more or less going to be done. You do have got free engagement coming in from Al-Sumayamani or perhaps even from Al-Khani. They have a lot of initiators that will help them kick off a big fight altogether. They don't necessarily have to play for big fights, but it comes down to splitting the fight into two that will eventually help them a lot.
Yeah, Team Oman looking a bit chopped at the moment. 10,000 gold advantage coming in from the side of Team Saudi Arabia, and they're showing their international experience right now. Fatal Links used on one character, and it's not even enough. Karava just runs away. Patrick Starr, run away, my friend. And now for Team Saudi Arabia, it's more about the map control, right? Securing the advantage, making sure they don't make mistakes here. Team Oman, They can still potentially catch, but they don't have that control factor at all. They don't have a solo control.
Yep. Unfortunately, I really like Team Oman's draft. However, it's more about the execution that they were not able to kind of hold down the fort. The game was great and all until I believe 3 minutes in, when they started to lose a lot more lead by the minute. And understandably for Team Saudi Arabia, they took control from that point on, and they will consistently be able to ensure that their gameplay is flawless enough to hold up this kind of momentum, putting them at 11,000 gold lead at 8 minutes and 40 seconds into the game. This is uncalled for.
Yeah, I mean, very masterfully drafted from the side of Team Saudi Arabia, just securing that early game advantage, having that Eve glue into Guinevere, that is already your core combo, right? Your EXP lane at that point, it can be whatever. Your gold lane at that point, as long as it can secure gold lane and get that late game through, you have the Claude, you have the Carry. No, Carry was banned out. You had the Moskov. There was a lot of choices because for Team Oman, they went for Irithel so early on into the draft, and that's just not going to be a good time, especially into an enemy glue and also Eve as well.
Yeah, I do like the mobility from the Irithel, but it's not really the time for the Irithel to pop off as of yet. Going up against a Moskov in the gold lane is more about the skill matchup at that point in time, but it's not going to be super important at that point. But regardless, as we slowly move on over to the Lord that will be marching in from the middle lane. Not the best lane for the Lord to be at, but hey, it is what it is, right? They will be able to shove some of these waves on the top and the middle lane to try to sync it up, and it's not too shabby. We do have the Terizla that held on to the top lane, and the Moskov held on to the bottom lane, while everyone just made it to the middle.
Yeah, 10 minutes into the game, not looking good here. Tier 3 turret already under siege here. Black Dragon form has been used in the backline. Robo manipulation just to secure that space, and it will be just a kill from Al Rashidi. Spear of Destruction misses, but Oman, they have to run away. Team Oman, they're so low as Karaba is just hanging around in the backline with the Lord, and Al Karani just going down right now, but doesn't matter. Al Rashidi still throwing spears from behind as the game ends, and Team Saudi Arabia get first game for themselves.
Indeed. There is a little bit too much of advantage.
Whether or not you want to get early head start or whether or not you are going for that last marathon sprint is going to matter in terms of the points, because only 2 will make it from this group. Now, looking at the ban stages coming through, the Phobius, Kalea, and also the Freya stable bans coming out, the Cho, Dusin, and also the Paquito as well. So this leaves the Marcel in the pool as well. So 100% going to be picked up from the side of Team Saudi Arabia.
Without a question, right? Team Saudi Arabia will pick that up really fast. Well, in the meantime, Team Oman, they have picked up the Guinevere for themselves as well for the R1 pick. Looking at this, there is still quite a bit of choices that you can eventually go for, but they have decided to pick up a Claude.
Yeah, this is usually what happens when you go for a Marcel first pick, right? You don't have that lockdown available. You don't really have the Kaja. Maybe you think about the Franco having the ability to just hook. I mean, it works in rank, but competitive-wise, the Kaja is really much more preferred. Now, going with the Marcel, you do want to just back up on your team fight composition. They're going for that tank capability. Baxia currently still sitting at the top of that tank so far, and we feel that teams, they've been using it a lot, right? But so far, we have also seen the Fredrin and the Arlot combo come up into the question quite a bit, but you need to get those 2 as a 2-piece.
Now, moving on forward, we talked about the Baxia, and now the Moskov joins in as well. Pretty early to be giving out the win condition, but it's not that big of a deal to a certain extent over here. So, moving on forward, we already have the Roma, jungler, and the gold laner that has been decided for Team Saudi Arabia, which leaves out against the mid laner and the XP laner, which is actually 2 very important roles for the side of Team Saudi Arabia, as that is going to decide how they want to play the game.
Yeah. Currently, right now, for Team Oman, they did have the Arlot available. If they wanted to go for the final slash into the Violet Requiem combo, with the Gourd, it would have been great. But surprisingly, they picked up the Atlas first, because they do respect the ability to have that Fatal Links. But now, with this, picking up that, they have to ban out the Valentina. They actually ban out the Tien first, which is surprising, right? Because right now, Team Saudi Arabia, they are going to pick up the Valentina to get that Fatal Links for themselves no matter what.
Do they? really want to go for that direction. At this point in time, it kind of seems as though for the side of Coach Hamden, he's looking for artillery or anything that have got very significant range. As such, yes, there we go. Valentina will be taken away, but we also do kind of leak out a bit of an information where anything that allows them to kind of stop Gord is going to be a problem.
Yeah, so far that Gord is going to be a problem if they don't have that mid lane priority, but Zusin already banned out. They can still go for that Eve if they wish to do so. The Farsa still one of the answers towards the Gord in terms of just having the range, having that mid 1v1, right? In terms of team fight, not going to have that burst capability, but you do have that AoE capability if, let's say, you want to go old school. But now for the side of Team Saudi Arabia, they will be trying to take out much more EXP laners, whether or not the Lapu Lapu looking like a choice here. Ruby, also the Arlot as well.
Team Oman still seem as though they like dive. They have got really good ways to jump over to the backlines of Team Saudi Arabia. So as a dive comp, having to pick up R4, and giving Team Saudi Arabia the chance to pick up B4 and B5 is going to be a little bit difficult at this point, right? Because right now, they most likely want to figure out who their gold laner is and then move on to their XP laner for the last pick.
Yeah, and I don't like this at all.
Still the same direction
I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Going with the Irithel against a Marcel, it's just going to be a bad time. Yeah, Irithel, you are known for moving fast, right? You gotta move fast to hit more.
Yep.
But Marcel moves faster.
Marcel moves like the wind.
Yeah, so Marcel moves faster and oh my god!
Whoa.
What are we seeing here?
Okay. Nice. Yay. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure how to feel about this. However, Kagura does have Rashu Umbrella Flea that does help her deal with some of these very pesky catch heroes. But in the meantime, you also do have your... What's that? You do have your ultimate deck. You do have a knockback. I'm not very sure if the knockback does anything to Gord in this situation. But if you do have a Kagura, you might very likely be able to burst down the Gord rather than to disrupt the Gord enough.
And finally, we do see the Ruby here. The buff to Ruby, mean and red, not mean and green. Because, yeah, Ruby is red after all. And now we do have that capability coming in from the Kagura, as we were saying before. I feel that it's going to be a wonky interaction, especially when it comes down to the Guinevere. It's going to be who initiates first, right? Who gets the catch first? Does the Kagura or the Guinevere get the catch first? If you get a pick off first on either of these sides, you're dandy. You're good to go. But the good thing about Team Oman is they can have a great fallback with the Fatal Links combo with the Irithel as well. But the late game is much more secured with the Moskov and the Marcel.
Now, the thing about the early game between these two teams really boils down to who can survive longer in these team fights, right? We don't have someone that particularly is very bursty, albeit the mages are not too bad once they get their level 4s and all that jazz. They are the bursty ones. However, not bursty enough to be instantaneously just clapping someone out of the existence. For example, if you have, for example, a Ruby, a Guinevere, and an Atlas that jumps in, then let's be honest here, there's no burst in that. So it's all about whittling down the opponents long enough, or whose reinforcements or macro play is better.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like this, right? The Ruby pick. I mean, I like the Lapu Lapu pick, not the Ruby pick. Because Lapu Lapu with the Wildest Warrior, I mean, he's going to have a great time. The Bravest Warrior is just going to be control immune the entire time and just going to have a lot of fun.
Now, of course, when it comes down to the initial part of the game, we are going to be looking at Lapu versus the Ruby. And both of them, well, let's just call them a, well, anticlimactic fight. They are not going to go anywhere. They are just pool noodles that will be slapping one another. But in the meantime, up above, we have Irithel as well as the Moskov. I don't expect too much out of either one of these two, so this really boils down to the main roaming trio in the middle lane. So having mid lane prio sounds fun.
Yeah, now that Marcel is going to become a huge problem, especially when it comes down to these objective fights. And when we come down to the objective fights, that Fatal Link time is going to be very key here, still not giving El Karusi any form of level advantage at all, forcing out the flicker once again. But now we have the flicker already used on both sides on that EXP lane as well.
It's really unfortunate though, they weren't able to layer the crowd control for long enough to be able to really hold down onto Alkani, because if they actually manages to bring down Lapu, that would be great, because the turtle is about to come out and that will leave Alkani at level 3, unable to do too much. But now with the Bravest Warriors, pretty darn sure that Team Saudi Arabia, they do have got the power spike already from this point onwards.
Yeah, right now Team Saudi Arabia having complete control of that turtle. And yeah, without the flickers available from El Alawi, there was no way from the I'm Offended to come through. And that might have been just greatest pull of the trigger from the side of El Karni so far. And this gives them control into that orange buff as well. So Saudi Arabia right now, in terms of just resource management, in terms of just invasions, in terms of just map control, they're just starting to ramp up already. And we can see how strong the Marcel is in terms of that vision game as well. Just look at him. Karava is a problem in game 1 and game 2 as well.
Literally just riding the wind, as he's just going to be walking past the two heroes from the side of Team Oman. They take the opportunity and they will be racking down all of these damage onto El Karusi, bringing him down very effectively without any one of the members from Team Saudi Arabia to suffer much consequences at all.
Yeah, so far, very good golden hour, and now we do see El Fadi in a lot of trouble here.
Yep, doesn't seem like he's going to get away, but hey, take a look at that. We do have the SOD that will manage to land, but I don't think that that is going to mean too much for the Moskov. He's not going to jump right in. Now, you also need to remember that at this point in time, El Karusi, he does not have got his Fatal Links as of yet. He's still stuck at level 3, one full level behind El Karaba, and this is generally going to make a very big problem because there is no power spike from Team Oman. Even for the XP laners, there was no power spike. No power spike at all for Team Oman, while in the meantime, Team Saudi Arabia, they can be so oppressive with that Baxia plus Marcel. Let's be honest here, the jungle does not belong to Team Oman at all.
Yeah, early game priority still very good for the side of Team Saudi Arabia in terms of just mid management into that EXP lane management, getting that level 4 just way ahead of time. But now we do have a flicker. Fatal Links only on to 1 though.
But it's okay because the rest of the members coming from the side of Team Saudi Arabia, they wanted to go in as a counter and engage from all of that. In the end of the day, quite a lot of them has been dealt quite a bit of damage, but no one has went down here from the side of Team Saudi Arabia. In fact, it is the other way around. It is Team Oman that suffered 3 losses.
Yeah, in terms of Team Oman's pickoff comp, if let's say they don't go first, they're doomed. But they don't go last, they're doomed as well. So it's
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's a bad situation, and they had to split up the fight with the Guinevere and El Karusi, but the Fatal Links going first was not something to be expected there for the side of Team Oman.
Yep. Now, this kind of boils down to the question that whoever have got the advantage would generally be a lot better because we don't have that power spike from the side of Team Oman. They don't have that burst damage that we could see. In retrospect, technically speaking, you can say that a Lapu does have a certain level of burst in his Ultimate Warriors, or rather Bravest Warrior, the moment that he have got the lead. So you gotta have to really look out for that. In the meantime, a simple clapback from the side of Team Oman.
Very good catch coming out from the side of Team Oman. They need to win battles like this, right? Take out the Moskov, take out the Kagura as much as possible, but now, El Rakati, well, what were you doing still in the lane as an Irito, my friend? I mean, you should have saw that from a mile away. You might be fast, but Marcel is faster.
Yep, literally. To a certain extent, could even say that he's riding in the wind, in the speed of sound at this point in time. He's fast, but you know, not a lot can compete against him. But right now we do have El Kani that just went straight in for the Bravest Warrior, but he suffered a lot of damage coming in from the Mystic Gush. He stood there for an extended period of time. Small little mistakes from the side of Saudi Arabia, which does help Team Oman quite a bit.
Yeah, this is huge coming in from the side of Team Oman. This might be the game-defining moment here because Al Fadi, with those 2 kills, just essentially brought them back into the game because that factor, that burst factor that we were talking about that Team Oman lacked, this was going to be their comeback in, but still, right? Kagura has been a problem. El Koraini, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's currently 5-0-2.
This means that both teams, they have a very obvious, okay, maybe not for both teams, but for Team Oman, they have a very obvious target board onto Team Saudi Arabia, and that is mostly going to be onto Al Quraini, because a very fed and a very snowbally Kagura is not going to be great at all, and is very difficult to handle at this point in time.
Yeah, we start to see the damage coming through from the side of El Rakati as well on the Irithel. So definitely picking up that Haas Claws is still missing out on that crit build, I think. Yes, he will be going for either the Berserker's Fury at this point, but right now the Holy Trinity is very close from the side of Al Rashidi, and once he pops that up, it's going to be that power spike coming through from the side of Team Saudi Arabia. They're still keeping the macro up at 4,000.
4,800 gold lead is the more approximate amount that we're looking out for the side of Team Saudi Arabia at 7 minutes. I would say is a lot of a improvement for the side of Team Oman, because in the previous game, by this point in time, we are roughly looking at 9,000 goal lead already. So definitely, we are looking at some improvements that would help Team Oman a tad a little bit. But we'll see how. Wait, was that a flicker coming from El Breaki? Because okay, no, that's weird. But regardless, there we go. It is gonna be a golden moment. It's exactly down onto El Breaki, but he don't have enough support from anyone to bring him down. In the end of the day, it is just going to be a simple 1-for-1 trade between two members, and the entirety of Team Saudi Arabia, they're going to be focusing down in the middle lane, not quite enough to bring down the T2 though.
Yeah, Golden Hour just not able to catch, but still very good zoning coming out from the side of Team Saudi Arabia as they manage to cycle out all the flickers. The ultimate from the Gord is gone. Now they can take the team fight as they wish.
Immediately, El Badi is going to go down. That is going to be one of the main damage dealers from the side of Team Oman. Losing them is going to be a very big problem. Purified coming in from Al Rashidi, ensured that he gets himself away from the Violet Requiem, but did not proc at all.
Yeah, and this is just a taste of what is to come, right? When there's no objectives on the map, they are still able to fight skirmishes like this. We did see one mistake out of Karaba, but that's it. Once bitten, twice shy, and now he just wastes the enemy utility, make sure that the flicker is not up, and consistently cycling out that flicker, making sure that Al Fadi does not have the ability to escape. Well, that's just going to be a great team fight for the side of Saudi Arabia, because no repositioning.
With the Lord now spawning down in the bottom lane. The entirety of Team Saudi Arabia will focus down and literally focus fire down this Lord. And there is nothing that Team Oman could do at this point. They do not have got the control of their own jungle, nor do they have got the fighting ability in order to reclaim this jungle. So, with the Lord going down for Team Saudi Arabia, the Lord pushes down to the bottom lane, the only lane that still has the only lane that does not have a T2 turret.
Yeah, so far, Team Saudi Arabia doing a great job of asserting that map control and definitely just keeping Team Oman in check. Right now, Team Oman, they're hoping for a mistake from the side of Team Saudi Arabia, similar to the dive that Karaba pulled in that mid lane. That's their only chance into the game, and now here we go.
Immediately jumping over to the back lines. It does seem like El Breaki is not going to survive from all of that, but he's going to be fine, actually. But it's just going to be the entire pandemonium that's just going to be happening right underneath of the T3 turret. El Khani all the way deep in, but unfortunately not quite enough to be able to take down anyone at that point in time. He's going to sacrifice himself in the form of greed, while they have already taken down El Breaki as well as El Karusi, pushing down in the middle lane, losing out the holy defense, and so will the bottom lane as the Lord pushes his trusty trident down, bringing both of these two turrets down to lower than 50%. In fact, El Rashidi takes down the T3 in the middle lane. This is a great fight, and this is a great tempo for the side of Team Saudi Arabia.
Did you see that? The golden hour into the complete meltdown from the side of El Khuraini. Man, this man is just insane. Look at that. In a split of a second, everybody's HP bars just trickled down. Boom. As Saudi Arabia with the Spear of Destruction and also El Khani to just follow up. There's just a lot of AoE damage coming out from the side of Team Saudi Arabia. You don't want to get caught in that golden hour at all. That new Marcel is just going to be just one hell of a creature.
It's really difficult for Team Oman to not get caught by the golden hour, considering that their entire game plan is to play together. But what is that? He just so single-handedly jump over to the back lines, managed to deal quite a lot over to the side of El Rakini, but unfortunately he still go down, and that is going to be a fatal link that connect down on the 3. Doesn't do too much from the side of Team Oman, as now they're just going to be focusing down onto the other side, as El Rashidi, he deals a lot of damage. He's going to be one of the main powerhouses. He's pushing the rest of the members from the side of Team Oman away, while the creep wave is just going to be pushing right in. But will they have enough to take this down? Yes, they will, as Team Saudi Arabia will take the first game.
Yeah, showing why they're the big brothers of this